Joe Rogan is a grifter, man. He just changes his opinions depending on whatever guest he has on. He just says what he says things that agree with his guests, and he changes his mind all the time. So he's a grifter. He's not authentic. He's not legit, man. Be quiet, man. First of all, Joe Rogan is, well, obviously extraordinarily successful. So, I mean, do you think he would be as successful as he is if he was a grifter? Maybe. But I don't think so. Second of all, what is true, something that is true, is that intelligent people change their minds. And when a person becomes more informed, more educated, better at critical thinking, you might say, then they end up changing their mind later because it's like, oh, now I know something I didn't know before. Now when I think back to my thoughts on, I don't know, Donald Trump, I'm going to say something different than what I said before because I know more about him, because I talked to this person. Okay, so you see what I'm saying? Like, also, without even, like, considering all of that, well, although, I mean, kind of keeping that in mind, how about we just watch the man talk to people carefully and observe his body language, his voice tone, all that stuff carefully. And also just look at all the facts, such as his podcast episodes have little to no editing. I think virtually no editing. I'm pretty sure the only editing they have is when, like, they'll place an ad for some product and he'll be talking about, like, what's something. I think he promoted this beef jerky one time. Anyway, I don't watch him a whole lot, but I have watched him a fair bit. And so, like he doesn't edit his, I'm pretty sure, yeah, there's no, like he doesn't cut out words that someone says. He'll add in, ads and stuff. So, like, if he was a grifter, wouldn't you think he would probably do that? At least sometimes. Maybe he used to. Maybe he has before. I don't want to say, but as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done that. Or if he did used to do it, he doesn't do it now, which tells you something about him. Also, like, the dude is obviously educated. I mean, what is that? That is freaking lightning. Holy crap. I did not expect that. It's pretty sunny outside, but oh well. So anyway, like, I mean, just think about this logically, guys. I mean, he's in his 50s, I believe. I'm not saying Joe Rogan is the most intelligent person on the internet. Well, if he was a grifter and he was intelligent, then he'd be very good at it. But even if he was highly intelligent, well, I do think in my opinion, he is pretty intelligent. And though he's not, I wouldn't say he's extraordinarily intelligent, even though he's not, like, he still, I would say, uses his brain, a good bit. He thinks about things, he's not some sheep. Like, now, as far as politically, I'm pretty sure, well, he said some things related to politics I definitely agree with, but I'm pretty sure overall I mostly disagree with him politically. Because from what I understand, wait, no, hold on, I'm thinking of someone else. Is he more conservative or liberal politically? I forget. I thought he was more liberal, but I could be wrong. Because, no, I would think he's more conservative. Not sure. Anyway, so I guess I don't really know, because I haven't watched, a ton of his videos or podcasts. I mean, they're often very, very long. I can't speak with any degree of confidence about, like, I agree with him almost 100% politically, or I can't say anything like that. But, he said things that I certainly agree with. For example, when it comes to psychedelics and the stupid, boneheaded, retarded decision that the U.S. government made back in 1976 when they made all the psychedelics Schedule 1. Anyway, I made a video on that ranting about it, so I don't. Boy, that gets me going. But I don't want to go on another rant in this video because I already made a video about it before. Anyway, he was talking to Jordan Peterson about that one time, and I agreed with basically everything he said. Or I think literally everything he said, actually. No, not quite everything, because he talked about, like, he thinks we evolved. Well, Well, it seems like he, at least in that video, was saying he believes in the stoned ape theory. I don't know if you would ask him about it now, what he would say, but yeah, well, I really don't buy that theory. Um, yeah, I mean, unless you could show me that it lines up with the Bible somehow. I mean, maybe you could persuade me into saying, yeah, okay, maybe there's something to it, but as of right now, I really do not believe in the stoned ape theory. But anyway, but I agree with a lot of things that he said. And like, dude, he like the guy's not a grifter. Good gosh, it's a fruit fly. Sorry. Could you see it? I wonder if you could see it. Anyway, like the dude is not a grifter. Joe Rogan is not some fake person who just is responsible. I saw some stupid comment on Reddit that got upvoted, of course, and then okay, look, someone made a post saying something like, what did they say? Or not? It was not a post. It was a comment. Well, it was interesting the way that all of a sudden somehow MAGA and Joe Rogan came up. The post, I don't think the post was even political. Maybe it was, but I don't think so. Anyway, but someone was saying something about how, well, they're speaking good about Rogan. And then someone was like, Rogan is responsible for MAGA. Oh, yeah, the original comment, I got it backwards. The original comment was someone saying like, Rogan is responsible for MAGA, and basically they're saying a bunch of nonsense. And then someone replied and they said, Kamala Harris could have gone on the podcast. She declined. It's like she was invited on the podcast. Rogan invited her. She declined. Actually, it was funny because I was telling this to my mom the other day. She said, it was another podcaster. Oh, I think it was Sean Ryan. I'm pretty sure. He said he reached out to Kamala before, to be on the podcast. She declined. It's like, and I replied to that person who made that point, and I said, exactly. Or I think I said, such a good point, actually. I was like, such a good point. Of course, we both got downvoted because Reddit's full of idiots, but we're right. It's like, yeah, she could have gone on the podcast. She didn't. It's like, so, it's absurd. But anyway, I don't want to, I got to watch myself, be careful here. Because ultimately politics do divide, and that's not good. Well, they can. So ultimately it's not like, I don't hate people who are on the left or liberal. I mean, temperamentally, I'm very high in trade openness, that's for sure. So I'm much more liberal in that sense, at least, like just temperamentally. But I'm usually much more conservative. I will say that in terms of, well, on issues like abortion or like the border. I mean, I'm not super educated when it comes to politics, and probably because I'm not super educated when it comes to history. But I mean, I know a fair bit. So anyway, I feel like on most things I know enough to have an opinion. I'll say that, and I've thought through them enough to have some thoughts on the matter. But anyway, but yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I guess I just need to think about Reddit. I guess I need to just stop going on Reddit, but I just get bored. And then I find myself on Reddit. I don't know. It's probably just a bad habit I need to cut, right? Or I need to replace it with going on Peterson Academy, maybe. That's not a bad alternative at all. The posts there are at least high quality, like pretty much all the time, and all the comments so far from what I've seen. I mean, it's only been a few days. I've only been a student of Peterson Academy for a few days, but it's great so far. I'm enjoying it. And I have read a number of posts, quite a few comments and quite a few posts on there, and it's good. I like it. Seems like a great environment. I've been able to share my TBP model in the video I made with that, so that's cool. That I'm allowed to do that. I mean, I should be allowed to do it, but it's good. It's good that I am. And one person did give me some feedback, so it wasn't like super long feedback, but it was good. I appreciate it. And I told him like, thank you. So that was good. I've been kind of desperate, frankly, pretty desperate for feedback lately. But yeah. So hey, thumbs up for Peterson Academy so far. Like I'll say that, especially given that how much it cost. What are you doing, Belle? She's looking at something. It's probably a bug. Get it, Belle. Belle. Kitty. If it's a bug, get it. Get it, Belle. Sorry. My cat, man. Get it. Oh, she literally tried to grab it in the air with her paws. Did you get it? I don't know if it's a moth or what. Anyway. I think I need to get one of those fly traps. Anyway, this is summer. I may as well get one. I finally have some money now. Yeah, what is she doing? She's trying to catch some Oh, I think it's just another fruit fly. I don't know. But anyway. Yeah, I need to get a fly trap. Anyway. The point of this video is Joe Rogan is not a grifter. I know I'm kind of all over the place here, but that's how I am. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that. It's high proclivity toward over-inclusive thinking that's responsible for that. Just how my brain works. But yeah, so like, I mean, just start thinking. If you think Joe Rogan's a grifter, well, I mean, leave a comment. Give me your argument. You know, construct an argument, and I'll read it and I'll consider it. But it's like we got to use our brains, people. Like just watch him carefully. Don't watch him immediately labeling him, through the lens of this guy just wants people's money. He's a con artist. He's a grifter. No, it's like watch him, try to forget about what you've heard about him and just watch him. That's the thing. Like when I first started listening to Joe Rogan, I really hadn't heard much of anything about him. So I really didn't have any preconceived notions of him. I didn't really even know who he was or what he stood for. I know he cursed a fair bit, and I knew that before I started watching him. I think I knew that he used to be a martial artist, but I really didn't know much of anything else. So, like when you go in with that sort of mindset, you get a much more, or at least there's a much higher probability that you'll get an accurate. You'll leave the video or the videos that you watch with a much more accurate perception of the person. What you think of them will be much more accurate. And yeah, I mean, perception's everything. Belief is everything, and perspective also, but perception really. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Like, I'm kind of sick. I'm really sick and tired of it at this point. People they're so confident. No, Joe Rogan's a grifter. Obviously, he's responsible for all this. Blah, 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 blah. Man, wake up. Like, learn how to think critically, please. Not just for all of our benefit, but for your own benefit as well. Learn how to think. It's like the thumbnail of this video about Jordan Peterson. There's a compilation, and the thumbnail, he didn't say this in the video, so it was funny, but the thumbnail was him going like this, and he was like, it said, please just think. And it's like, I don't think Peterson has ever said that. But those words, he's probably thought it a number of times, but I don't think he's ever actually said it. I like this mic. I love this mic, dude. It's so good. Guess how much I paid for it, too? As you can see, it's the Fafine K688. Highly recommend this mic, by the way. I paid $24.23. I think that's how much I paid. $24.23. Either way, it was under $25. It's because it didn't come with this piece, this little. Anyway, but I already had one because I had the Toner Q9, which I wasn't using. So I think I like this one better. So highly recommend this mic. As you can see, it sounds fantastic. And yeah. So anyway, okay. That's about it. There's other things I'm sure I could keep rambling on about Joe Rogan. But I like him. I think overall he's cool. I like him. He's authentic. He's, I mean, let's see. I was talking with what's his name, Nick Miller, about it the other day. He was saying that Nick was basically saying something like, it seems as if Rogan is now kind of just part of the system now, whereas before he was kind of just doing his own thing. Now it seems like he's kind of, maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. I'm not convinced based on what he said, but he might be right. But regardless, he's still at least a decent person to listen to about, he's at least a decent podcast to listen to. Can we at least give him that? He's not always trying to get something from his guests. Jordan Peterson has talked about this on numerous occasions. Here's one of the reasons why Joe Rogan is so successful. I can't do a good Jordan Peterson impression, but and he was saying basically because he genuinely wants to know more than he does. And sorry, I wonder how well you could hear that background. It wasn't background noise. I wasn't watching this, but this mic is generally good at rejecting background noise. It's one of the great things about it. Anyway, pop filter's not the best. Pickled Perry the Platypus, Potters. No. Picks, not peppers, cranberries off the grapevine. Anyway, It's not the best at handling plosives, but it's decent, you know. Not as good as like the Shure SM7B or 7dB, which I have over there, which I just realized, well, I think it's a legit Shure SM7dB, but now I'm not sure. It still sounds pretty good. You can go watch videos I've made with it, but low-key, this one might sound better, or I might like the way it sounds better. Anyway, I don't know why I said that, but, you know, Joe Rogan, like I said, like, oh yeah, one of the reasons he's so successful is because he's like genuinely trying to learn, and he's not perfect. Yeah, sometimes it gets heated, and you know, he'll say something he probably shouldn't say. But like I've seen a few moments of that, but I haven't seen a whole lot of that. Generally, he's very good about keeping his cool and just letting people talk and trying to learn. You know, trying to figure out who someone is, what they believe, and yeah, trying to just essentially expand his consciousness. And you know what? I bet a big reason for that is probably a direct consequence of his use of DMT. And I think he's also done shrooms too. So yeah, his previous use of psychedelics. I'm sure that plays a role in his, you know, the way he is when he does a podcast. How he sort of sets the whole thing up, and yeah, I mean, his philosophy, I guess, when it comes to his work. So anyway, like I bet it is. I'm sure if you would ask him, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, definitely." Like for example, one time he said that, like, I loved when he said this. He's like, adults are really just like, we're all just babies. Like we're all just grown babies, which is so true. Like there's a lot of truth to that. Like adults are still just like, we're just grown babies. Like, you know what I mean? We're all human, you know? That was kind of his point. We're all human. We all, you know? So anyway, but yeah, I'm in this video here now in a few seconds. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on Joe Rogan. I like him overall. I mean, not so much that I listen to him all the time. One of the things I don't really like about him is how much he curses, but I mean, he's authentic. I'll give him that, at least generally, you know. No one's perfect, but anyway. All right, take care. See you in the next one, and I'm going to end this right at 17:17.